You are all welcome. And of course, the great youth, I really appreciate you and I thank you for this beautiful privilege to speak to you this morning. Already it's afternoon. Sorry for coming late. I didn't plan any other function more than yours today. But then as a public servant, sometimes you plan your own things. And then when the call of duty beckons on you, you got no choice but to just respond appropriately. I've been asked to speak on empowering the youth for a sustainable future. My own perspective may be a bit different from the previous speaker, but what I'll play with you is just that you pay as much attention as possible. Because I'll be saying a lot within a very short period of time, and I've decided to give you the opportunity of asking one or two questions so as to be able to apply some of the things I'll be saying to yourselves. Empowering the youth for a sustainable future. Now, I need to let you know that youth is a season, and that season doesn't last forever. The youth is just like you have a football match. How many minutes do we have playing a football match? 90 minutes. And so you start 10 minutes, and then it's as if, oh, I still have 80 minutes more. And then you go ahead, 30 minutes, oh, I still have 4 minutes. But before you know it, it is half time. And so when we talk about youth, you've got to realize that it's not forever. You are a youth today. I remember how many years ago I could jump from this place. I'm not kidding you. As a secondary school pupils, I will jump from this gallery. We will be begging, okay, who will jump? Who will be forced to run up here and jump down? But you ask me to do that, and even you say you're going to give me a million naira, I'm not going to do it. But the youth age, sometimes ago we used to hear about mathematical or Odegbami. That's Odegbami, the great footballer. We used to hear about Emmanuel Okala and so many great names. Where is Maradona today? They were once young people with strength of the youth. They could do and undo. But where are they today? And so you've got to also realize that your youth is just for a while. And that's why the best thing you can do is to begin to think, what should you do now that you are young? Because we will not be young forever. We can say, yes, we are youth in our heart, in our minds, in our focus, but the truth is still that sooner or later you realize that your body will tell you that you are no longer the person you used to be. So your prime is a season. Prepare for what follows. So this is an opportunity that God has given you to prepare for a brighter future. And if you don't make the best use of this opportunity, I pray that you don't have a regret for that. And so this is your prime time. This is the time that you can build. This is the time that you can construct. This is the time that you can plant what you are going to reap in the nearest future. So as I go into the study, I will be telling you some personal stories to drive the point home. Hopefully, many of you will be able to benefit from what we're talking about. This is the time for you to gather, to plan, to get skills, to build relationships, to have knowledge, and to form that kind of character that will make you not just a useless person, but somebody that the society wants to interact with, somebody that the society wants to discuss with, somebody that the society wants to see as a resource person. And if you don't build now, what happens in the nearest future? So I want to let you know that your youth is a season, and it is better you use it very, very wisely. You have to prepare for what is ahead. And you have a temporary advantage, which is now you can run. If we are now to run from here to Revenue House, most of you will outrun me. And even in the days of the Bible, we read about a disciple called John. The Bible makes us understand that when we were told that Jesus Christ had risen from the dead, that younger disciple, which was John, outran Peter. He was so fast, he got to the graveyard first. But could he enter? He could not enter. He had to now wait for Peter to come before he could enter. And so I salute your courage, I salute your strength, I salute your ability, I salute your agility. But please, as capable as you may be, as smart as you may appear, as strong as you may be, always know that there is a place for the older ones who have the experience to tap from that experience and blend it with your own thing, so that you don't misuse that strength You don't misuse that agility. Are we together? The whole time when you say, you want to jump from here, your dad will be telling you, hey, son, don't break your head, don't break your neck. They are speaking with experience, which you should not please discount in any way or in any form. The peak of your physical years is when you are young. And of course, when that strength grows and grows and grows, and then it peaks at a particular point in time. Look at even the great footballers of our time. When they are in their 16, when they are in their 20, they are doing very well. When they are 25, fantastic. By the time they are nearing 30, law of diminishing return begins to set in. Where is Papilo now? Can he play football? Can he represent us in the World Cup again? Where is JJ Okocha? They have done their best and they have left some indelible marks on the history of Nigeria as footballers. But that strength is not forever. And that is why when you abuse that strength with some substances, alcohol, drugs, and what have you now, you may be killing the future that we are preparing you for. I hope you are getting it. And so your later life is determined by what you do in your youth. I am what I am today by the virtue of what I've done as a young man. As a 10-year-old, as a 20-year-old, as a 30-year-old, as a 40-year-old, I'm now looking up to 60. Are we together? But all that I've achieved is a function of that foundation that was laid when I was 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And so you still have opportunity as young fellows, but please don't abuse that opportunity. And so you have to be careful the way you make your decision and then be smart about it. Now I have a picture on the screen there that will be instructive to you. There is a time for you to discover. That's when you are around age 10, thereabout, when you have come to the point of self-recognition. By the grace of God, I was just 10 years old when my mother realized I had a kind of interest in music, and she encouraged me to join the church choir. And from there, I began to beat drum. That was one of the things I discovered early in my career, in my life. And by the time I was age 11, I was playing what we call mouth organ, harmonica. By the time I was 12, I was playing what we call recorder. And by the time I was 16, I was already very good on the organ and on the piano. I began to learn how to play the guitar at age 20. At age 23, I began to play the saxophone. If you ask me to come and learn this musical instrument now, it is practically impossible. And so if I've wasted those years, I've wasted them forever. And so there are some skills that you can gather now, instead of just playing games that will lead you to nowhere. I am not seeing anybody being awarded anything for being the best in playing the game of Ludo. And so if you have to play any game at all, can it be a game that will challenge your intellect, that will bring you to the world map? I read about a Nigerian who was a master in chess playing, and he will be playing with about 40 people simultaneously, and he will still win all of them. So I'm not against you playing games, but play such games that will be good for your future. For example, the game I know how to play are musical instruments, several of them, and I master them. I can see one of our saxophonists in the house as well. So I want to encourage you, please make the best use of your need. And so use this age to prepare. And what you are preparing for what? You are preparing for contribution. Because if you only prepare, you are only thinking about yourself. Very soon you will be forgotten. One of my aims is that I should be able to contribute. And so by the time I was age 22, I was already chosen as a leader, leading people in their 30s, leading doctors, leading lawyers as an undergraduate. And many of them could not even call me by my first name, because at the time I became worried. Because when I was 22, people were mounting prayer on me to get married. My pastor would say, Iyawoko, when will you marry? Where are your children? And I said, Baba, I'm just 22. At the time I was so worried, I had to confide in one of my friends who is about 5 years older. Why is everybody asking me for wife or children? I'm not even engaged, I'm not even ready to marry. He said the way you reason, the way you think. And that goes to the Yoruba proverb. Right from my youth, I've always learned how to move with others. I've always befriended people that are 5, 6 years older than myself. And so unexpectedly, my intellect, my ability began to grow beyond my age, such that I would speak somewhere and it would be wow. And I began to represent larger society. For those of you that know the Lord very well, I became the youth council leader, that's over the African churches in Ketu, in Solo, in Kenya, Oshodi, all that area, hundreds of youths under me. To God be the glory, I did not misuse that opportunity. That was part of my own thing in leadership. And by the time I was 34, I had already formed some things, put some steps in place, which are now like legacy. I'm not hoping to die yet, but if it pleases the Lord that He calls me home now, or Jesus Christ comes now, it will be on record what and what Olatona has achieved. So don't think that it is when you are 60 or when you are 70 that you begin to contribute your legacy to this country. You can start where you are. It's a matter of mindset. When your mindset is fine, then you make the best use of the opportunity that comes your way. I also need to let you know that every CCA has an assignment. That childhood time has an assignment for you to do. And that assignment at that childhood stage is to discover. And one day I can see some great fathers, some great mothers here. And because I know that you are going to be great fathers, great mothers sometime, I know I want to call you to the injunction of the word of God that says that you should train your child in the way he should go. But unfortunately, many of our parents believe that that means if I'm a lawyer, my children must be lawyers. If I'm a doctor, my children should be doctors. No! The understanding is that you must know what is the counsel of God for each child, what is their passion, what is it that God has, what is the problem God has created them to solve. It is now your responsibility as a parent to guide each child in that way that God has chosen for him and encourage him to develop in such a way that he will be better than if he did not have you as a father or as a mother. And of course, during your youthful period, you have to prepare. And for example, in my home, nobody plays any game per se. The older one, the game he plays is the piano. He's so much in love. He's a child accountant by that sincerely. He makes a lot of money from music, just teaching people all over the world on how to play musical instruments. The younger one is a writer. I'm also a writer, and he's an award-winning writer. He's won awards, not local, international, that they took him abroad because of writing. Why? Because parenting is something that you have to do intentionally. You don't just leave children like fowls that are left to just roam about. No, we must be intentional if we want the future of this country to be great. And so, the assignment of your childhood, when it is not well done, that means the preparation time of youth will also not be well done. When that one is not well done, at adulthood, you will not be able to contribute anything tangible. And of course, at the end of the day, you are 50, you are 60, you are 70. What is the legacy you are leaving behind? Nothing. I pray that that will not be our portion in Jesus' name. And so what you have to do as a young person is for you to now begin to look at the hand right from the beginning. And one of the things I do is to look at where do I want to be in social years, and that one begins to guide my decision now as a young person. Let me now move to what true empowerment is. Because many of the time when we talk about empowerment, some of us think, oh, it is when somebody gives us money, when government gives us money. I don't think so. The power to think, the courage to act, and the capacity to transform, that is true empowerment. What true empowerment does is it enables to discern the time. You know what is happening now, and you know what to do to prepare you for the future. It also allows you to think independently. Don't be a dog to somebody that will erase your brain and you can no longer function, and then he is now pushing you around like a puppet. Jump up, you jump up. Go and call somebody's head, you go and call somebody's head. Go and do this one. No, God has not created you to be a puppet. You are an independent person, and therefore let that begin to register in you. And of course, you must also be able to create legitimate value. What value am I adding? I met this situation at this level. What is the value I'm now having? I remember when I came on board in November 2022 as executive chairman of the State Internal Revenue Service. I think around December that year, I gave a kind of press interview on the radio. I don't know what came upon me. And I said before Governor Bao would finish his first term, that the revenue of the state would have moved to 2 billion. I came back to the office and my colleagues were like, how? We are 660 million and you are saying 2 billion. I said, even me, I don't know how it came out. But as I said it, so will it be. Power has not even completed that second term. We're already looking at 3 billion. Are we together? But when you don't have a focus, you don't have any goal, you don't have any plan, then you achieve something that we call nothing. I hope many of you are listening. Those that are online, please make sure that you set a goal, not just a goal that you can easily achieve. Something that will drive you, something that will push you, a value to have. Because when you are not adding value, you have become it's either of two things. It's either you are adding value or you are eroding value. When you are eroding value, the system has a way of injecting you eventually. And how does it inject you? You become irrelevant. So when decisions have to be taken, you say, don't mind it, is inconsequential. I pray that you will not be inconsequential in Jesus' name. So you must know how to solve real problems. Not just go online and do church. No. How can you solve the problem? If all you know how to do is to say, oh, there's this problem, there's that problem, there's this problem, and you are not bringing out how to solve that problem, you yourself have become a problem to be solved. Don't just complain about the problem. Those problems are opportunities for you to shine. When people are complaining, oh, there's no pipe of water here, that's an opportunity for you to think about how to sink a ball and put some drops up and then begin to sell. But many of us, we are so used to the lazy attitude of just complaining. On my community platform, there were some young men, all they do is just to lambast government and lambast everybody. And over the last weekend, I now put a teaser there. I said, okay, let's now assume that you are now the governor's appointee. You are now the commissioner. You are now this. Tell us one or two things you will do. For 3 days, they could not answer me. You know how to complain. That one is cheap. That is cheap. Everybody is complaining. Everybody is crying. That is cheap. Who will solve the problem? Taiwo Yedele was my union many years back. But when you discuss with that man, that's the Honorable Minister of Finance and Coordinating Minister of the Economy. When you sit down with him for 5-6 minutes and he begins to talk, you see a lot of brain. He came from a very poor background. He was telling us the other time, he said, even his school SAT, his parents could not afford the school SAT exam. The whole community, the community people had to contribute money for him to write school SAT. Look at what they have become today. So your future is not supposed to be dependent on anybody. But when you will it out to politicians, you will it out to anybody, then they can treat it anyhow. So it's time for you to wake up and look at this opportunity as an opportunity to get yourself charged and prepare for a brilliant future. And you must know how to act with courage. It's not, hey, I need somebody to carry me, if somebody should carry me. Hello? When you are waiting for somebody to carry you, how are you sure that the person you are waiting for to carry you is also not waiting for somebody to carry you? Why are you not thinking about how you can carry yourself and how you can carry others and show them the path of success as well? That is true empowerment. And of course, when you want to talk about true empowerment, you must talk about serving with discipline. The first day, my brother, the captain, spoke about discipline, so I don't need to mention that one. And the last one I want to mention is that you must also be ready to empower others. What the executives are doing now are to empower you, so that this empowerment that you are having, you will also be able to pass it to others. Empowerment is not dependency with a new name. It's not and you know sometimes when you want people to serve you forever, you just keep on giving them handouts. And the way of giving them handouts is one of the evil things that our colonizers have done to us. They block our brains from listening such that we are always looking up to them. America, come and help us. Britain, come and help us. We treat ourselves as if we are orphans and helpless and hopeless. I tell you sincerely, black is not synonymous with black. And when our children go over there, why is it that they win all the scholarships? So don't look down on yourself. I walked in a place before and a white man wanted to harass me one day. And I told him that, Oga, you are not as intelligent as I am. Let us sit for the same exam and see later whether you will do better than I am. Let that confidence come into you. Empowerment is not capacity joined with to responsibility. True strength is always accountable. When you don't want to be accountable, you are the president, you are the treasurer, you are whatever. You don't want to keep account. that is not a way to lead into empowerment. Empowerment is the ability to stand, to think, to create, to solve, to serve, and reproduce value. I pray that God will help you to be thinkers, people that will act reasonably and will encourage, that will be ready to create value at every time, and that will build sustainability. You can see the picture there. Those that depend on others, they are those ones that always complain. Hey, yeah, Atija the school no matter Atija they are always complaining. There is a lady in my church who has masters, and I tell you that lady, what does she do? She sells kunu, she sells sobo, and from her kunu and whatever business. When I was asking her, bro, bring your CV, let us look for job. He said, but she's from Indonesia. But me washe the titoshe. That is, my brother, I'm not looking for job. This is more than enough. If I tell you the number of shops he has, I tell you the number of things she does, the houses she's building, you will wonder, is it not for kunu selling? But you are there, I know the kunu. I married a professor of medicine. When she was in the medical school and we were cutting, I bought her a refrigerator. What was she doing? She was selling kunu, she was selling sobo, she was selling mat from Ikoti. The mother would send the mat to her. She would sell that one as for students that could not afford the carpet. And that was what she used to maintain herself. She graduated from the medical school and she was still raising her younger ones. And here we have the entitlement community. Government has not done this for me. That one has not done that for me. Yes, you can demand. But also look at how can you solve some of these problems that government is not finding it to solve. It is when you begin to solve problems that government will call on you and say, that guy has a kind of solution. That was what brought David, a shepherd boy, into the palace. Are we together? But when you now decide to have your knowledge, wisdom, and you change your mindset, opportunity portrays itself. Yet it may sound a bit risky. But those that are courageous, that want the brighter future, are ready to take the bull by the horn and to shine continually. I tell you sincerely, this is very, very important, and I'm very passionate about it. You can see the picture there of an elderly man passing the torch to a younger man. And also I want to encourage you, few people who can stand and surpass you. To the glory of God, my person that plays the piano plays much, much better than I do. The one that is a writer writes much, much better. Because success without a good successor is not success at all. And so those that are in the country now, those that are running the organization now, can you also build the coming generation to even be better than you are? And of course, let us avoid the dependency traps. And the dependency traps makes us want to always depend on people, to always look for people to feed us, while others that are wise are thinking of people to feed. Are we together?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Sustainability, you can look at this later on. Captain has spoken so much about it. But I also want to, I'll give you the slide so that you can go through it later on. You also now need to know that you should dig the well now, before the drought comes. What happens to many of us is that we wait until we are thirsty before we begin to look for water. And that will always be too late. Why don't you make it while the sun shines? Prepare early, learn deliberately, turn difficulty into capability. Instead of complaining, can you observe achievers? Can you ask thoughtful questions? When you see people that have achieved things that this thing, don't just say, I too have done this one. That's not a time for you to boast. It's a time for you to sit down with them and ask them questions. What have you done to be where you are? And that will now guide your steps on what to do further. And you must walk to them before you learn. What I see many young men doing is, I want to earn this amount. What have you learned to enable you to earn that amount of money? So when you learn and you have good knowledge, then you are able to have assets that compound. What are those assets that compound? What are those things that make you great as a person? One, your social capital. Social capital has to do with the kind of relationship that you keep. What kind of relationship do you keep? What reputation do you have? What character do you have? What value do you bring to the table? And then what trust can people place in you? And when you think that you are a future leader, you have missed it entirely. Your leadership starts now. This is the opportunity as the firstborn in the family to pilot the way for those that are coming. As a class captain or monitor wherever you are in your school, this is an opportunity for you to shine. Yes, you have your own plan. Like I plan to be a chartered accountant at 25. But when I was about to start the exam, I can't change the syllabus. And that added extra year. And so you have your plan, but many of the time, plans may not work according to what you are planning to be. There will be some legal things, there will be some government policies that will not allow you. And so you must build into yourself a kind of resilience and flexibility, ability to adapt to what is happening around you so that you will not be shortchanged in any form or way. Thank you. Alright, you will have some challenges, and those challenges you can decide to make them obstacles or offsets to your miracles. So, what do you do with the challenges? You can be complaining about them, or you can learn from people that are ahead of you. You can build a kind of resilience, you can build a kind of creativity, you can look at how you can adapt, and you can look at how you can learn, serve, build, and adapt so that you have a stronger tomorrow. And I tell you one truth, your future begins with the kind of questions you are asking yourself. Where am I from? Immediately you stop asking yourself some of these questions, you will be retrogressing. Where am I now? What brought me here? What must change in my life? What must I do to be where I want to be? Where am I going? Some of you don't know. If I ask how many of you now have documented your plan, where do you want to be in the next 5 years? Sometimes I sit at panels where we interview people. Where do you want to be in the next 5 years to be married and so forth, and then to have this? Some of the questions, the answers that you have provided, it will be as if you should remove your bed and be beating somebody. No future ambition. Like in Shaka, after graduating, I will go for my NYC. Is that a goal? After your NYC, and I have a way of teaching young people. What next? What next? What next? Young fellows, it's good for you to have 50-year development plan, 40, 30, 10, 5, 2, 1, even on monthly, you now break it down. What do you want to achieve today? Some of you don't have any plan. We shall have a long program. After that program, what are you going to do with it? You must be able to have concrete information about where you want to go. And what do I need to get there? What's the capital I need to get there? What will I do now? Because it is what you did yesterday that brought you today. What you do today will determine your future. I challenge you to think independently, act responsibly, create value, and build sustainability. So, your knowledge builds capacity, and capacity earns authority. Now, there are two Greek words that translated power in the King James Version of the Bible. One is dunamis. That's where you get the theory of thermodynamics. That's the kind of power that works in the body. And the power that can reproduce itself, physical power, agility, strength. And we have a social which is translated authority in NIV. Authority is bigger than a social. Because the static wording, for example, does not have the physical power to stop the trailer. But when it does like this, the trailer must stop. That's authority. Unfortunately, many of us don't want to have build any capacity. We are targeting authority. We fed the governor, we fed the commissioner, we fed this one. The only thing that starts from the top is the grave. When you want to dig from the top, it's the grave. And you dig yourself in. So the best thing for you to do is start somewhere. The way you have been faithful in small will determine whether you will be allowed to occupy bigger position. So your capacity must be built up, be robust, know more, and then be ready to do more. Okay. I'm rushing because of time. Let me jump some of these slides. Lead today build system and leave a legacy. When we say build system, that means you do something that will outlast you, not just that you reign and you reign and reign, and then nobody that comes after you can do better than you are. Prepare before you act. Leadership lays everywhere, and I encourage you also to know that succession is sustainability. Because if it's only your regime that does well, and the next regime doesn't do better, then I won't regard you as having succeeded. We also need to invest in a capability in order to empower our generation. You have to teach others, you have to share ideas, you have to give, you have to invite, you have to create, you have to also prepare. Build system, multiply impact, and leave credible legacy. And before I round it up, you also need to do what we call personal audits. And part of it is what has shaped me into who I am now. What is true now? What future am I building? If you want to build a skyscraper, you don't do a shallow foundation. Will today's choices take me there? What habits and what values must guide or change? Which relationship should I cultivate? I knew from time that the kind of friends you move with will determine what you become. When I realized that the son of my principal in the secondary school was extremely intelligent, the book I will ask him, I haven't read this. You say, oh, when you say, I read it when I was in primary 5. So I knew I had to be his friend, so that he could also read. I was chasing a child that would read a book that he has never read before. I didn't know how much that was building my future. There's not any area of study that you mention and I'll keep quiet and I will not be able to talk about. What assets and skills can you do? What problem or milestone is waiting for your courage to solve? And so we have to reflect. What habits must I change? Because the truth is this. You say, it is my nature. What is your nature? That thing that looks like your nature started as your thought. And then you began to speak about it, you were confessing it, and then it became your kind of habit. You are doing it regularly, and then it became a kind of your character. People now know you for it, and then it became your destiny. And so you are the one that forms your destiny from your thought pattern. And so when you want your life to change, you start it by changing your thinking. When you think you are a failure, you have already failed. You don't need any apostle or any pastor to pray for you. You must go to that foundation, change your thinking, believe you can do it, and then you find yourself doing it. The skill that you must build on, look at it. Who should I serve? Who should I learn from? What problem can I solve? I'm always thinking, what problem can I solve? And my colleagues know that if I solve a problem in a way today, if that same problem comes tomorrow, I'm looking for easier and faster way of solving it. Which relationship matters? It is not all friends. I don't keep many friends. It's not every friendship that you must keep. When you want to be a friend to everybody, you will be a failure. I don't know how the laws about successful, but when you are trying to please everybody, you are already a failure. What resources can I steward? And what will I start this week? What will I start today? Because sometimes procrastination is there. Hey, I will start next week. I will start next year, and tomorrow never comes. Your character preserves what your talent acquires. Rounding up now. I want to challenge you to build technology and humanity, enterprise, ethics, faith, and public life, local wisdom, and global knowledge. This is your assignment as a new generation. Build the person before the platform. Don't rush to take the microphone. You must have a platform first. You must build yourself first. It's after building yourself that we can now begin to talk about platform. When you don't have anything to say and you're wrong there, you are just like John. He ran to the graveyard where you could not enter. There is a place for experience, there is a place for you to think clearly also. You have to let people read wide. I read anything that comes my way. If I'm in the midst of doctors and I'm talking, you will not know I'm not a doctor. If I'm in the midst of an engineer and I'm talking, you will not know I'm not an engineer. I read and I still read very, very well. You must also know how to think clearly, question, calculate, and adapt. And then you also need an honorable life. Because no matter how intelligent or how brilliant you are, no matter how anointed you are as a pastor, if your character, if you have a character default, that will crumble everything overnight. That's why you have to know how to keep your integrity, because that's the key part of the opportunity. Once you lack integrity, you are done for. And so, before I round up, I want us to make this kind of covenant. I will pursue competence before title. Say it. Character before visibility. Service before status. And sheer capacity before dependence. With God's help, I will build wisely, live honorably, and leave others stronger than I found them. So help me. And so, rounding up, the future is built by what you do today. Rise with purpose. Thank you for listening.